Hey everyone, it's Eric from Bento Gaming. So, recently, some of you might have watched the Logan Paul opening of the first edition base set Shadowless booster box. It was very exciting. Some amazing cards were pulled. It was definitely something fun to watch. It was definitely a history in the Pokemon world. But one of the things I wanted to talk about after watching that live stream was there was a lot of talk about grading cards when they were opening those packs. There was a lot of talk about certain cards will be a PSA 9, certain cards will be a PSA 10, and if you look at the marketplace right now, we are very heavily invested in graded cards. So with so many new collectors in the hobby now, I figured this might be a good time to talk about grading cards and which company should you grade with. So first, I want to talk about what is grading. So grading cards, it's taking a raw card, right? Something like this that you'll pull from a booster pack or from award from a tournament or whatever. So you'll get the card and what the hobby industry, the hobby world is called a raw card, okay? So a card that is not that is not encapsulated by a graded company. So grading is done by a professional third-party company that specializes in authenticating and evaluating either sports cards or trading cards. Now this could also apply to coins, comics, stamps, event tickets, whatever. Okay, so it's done by a third-party professional company. So first, the grader will determine whether the card is genuine. Okay, so they will look at the maybe certain characteristics of the cards that the real cards used to manufacture, and they'll also look at some of the signatures or autographs. So they'll compare autographs with previously established autographs to determine if it is authentic. So after it is determined that the card is genuine, then the graders will then look at different categories of the cards. So the four main things that the graders will look for would be centering of the card, so that making sure the card is serviced properly in terms of comparing the borders on all four sides, on front and back of the card. Then they'll look at the surface of both sides again, making sure there's no scratches. Even if there's scratches, it's okay. You'll just get a lower grade instead of getting the maximum grade you can possibly get of the company. So then they'll also move on and look at the corners of the cards, all four corners, see if there's any white spots, see if there's any chips or whatever. Then they'll also look at the edges, see if there's any silvering, maybe trimmed or whatever. So once all four of these criteria are looked at, then the companies will then give it a final grade. So which is what you will see on something like this. Let's see if it'll focus. Sorry, if this on focus. No, focus on me. There you go. So it'll give it a final grade of a 9, or for example, something like this. You can clearly see there's the final grade. Sorry, this is completely out of focus. Right, so there's the final grade. So they'll award the final grade based on their company policy. So right now there are three main companies that will grade Pokemon cards. Okay, so PSA is the big one, and then there is a Beckett called BGS, Beckett Grading Service, and then there's a new entrant called CGC. We'll talk about those in a bit. So why is the market obsessed with grading? So the card condition is extremely objective. Okay, by me posting this card, okay, this ungraded card on eBay, how do we determine what is considered mint, what's a good condition, what's a lightly played condition, right? Like, to me, hey, there might be some couple minor scratches and it is a mint condition, but to some who might be a PSA 10 collector, that would just be a lightly played condition, or it might just be a mint condition to near mint condition. It'd be far from mint or gen mint condition. So conditions, there's a lot of there's a wide spectrum of conditions, and it is very objective if it is not being evaluated by these third-party professional grading companies. So by having these graded cards by these different companies, they all have very similar standards. Okay, so when we buy a card from online stores, we know what to expect when we look at whether it is a PSA 9, CGC 9, or BGS 9. In our back of our mind, we already know, okay, if it's a BGS, PSA, CGC 9, we know it's not perfect. There might be minor flaws on the card. There might be minor defects, like maybe a corner had a little whitening, or there might be like the slightest slither of a scratch on the card that was done by the printer. So we know as a 9, we're not expecting a perfect card, but the value will reflect on that. Whereas if I just say, this is a, what do they call this, mint. This is a mint card. Well, that's very hard to establish because mint is very objective from one person to another. So by having these graded cards, we will have a very good parameter of what is considered a mint or gem mint or a good condition or excellent condition or whatever these grading companies use as their naming or standards. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why, because the card condition is established. Then we have a very good idea what it is about. The second reason why the market is obsessed with the graded cards right now is because we know these are genuine cards. We know these are not fake cards that are printed by China or wherever. So the authenticity is there. We know we're paying $50, $100, $200, $200,000 for your base set Shadows Charizard. We know it's been authenticated by a professional. That gives consumer confidence. Okay. So because of that, we buyers are willing to pay a little bit more because it takes a skepticism away. Okay, so now they know what they're buying is legitimate. Also, back to the condition of the cards. So some companies do offer a population report that will tell you how many of these has been graded and how many of these has been graded in specific grades. So this will allow you to determine how common or rare a specific condition of a specific card is in the marketplace. So these guys are PSA cards. If you can see it, let me see if I can try it. So these are PSAs. Okay, you can tell by the big red edge around the label. It clearly says PSA on it. You'll see a lot of these on eBay right now. Okay, it has a PSA logo. It has their security features, and so let's talk about PSA. So PSA has been in the market for over 25 years now. They are the standard of the graded cards. Okay, they have majority of the market share of the graded cards. Like if you have been on eBay looking for cards, you know what PSA is because they just flood the market right now because they've been grading for so long. Now, on the other hand, this is CGC. So this is their slabs. Okay, it says CGC on it, universal grading. This is what their back looks like. Okay, it has their hologram seal. Okay, so that's their security features on the slabs. So CGC is a division of Certified Collectibles Group. Okay, they have several other companies, and they do grade comics, coins, bills, money, stamps, etc. So, and they'll also soon be grading sports cards as well under CSG or Certified Sports Guarantee. I think something like that. So I think it's coming soon. Okay, so in terms of the trading card market, they have just entered the market in May of 2020. Okay, I'm filming this video right now on October 14th, 2020. So they've only been in the marketplace for 5 months. Okay, there has been a lot of comparison between CGC and PSA. And I guess that's why you're watching this video to see if you should be grading your cards on PSA or CGC. So CGC right now, they are only grading two cards, two trading card games, Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. They have expert advisors on these two card games on retainer to advise them as to this whole grading process and certain cards, whether it's genuine or not, and whether it's something that they should be grading or not. So in terms of CGC, they are really investing into this by having these expert advisors on retainer. And like I said, they have only been in the market for 5 months, so they're still the new player trying to establish its name in the marketplace. So it's going to take some time for CGC to increase their market share and for more people to know about them. So the other company is Beckett, but I don't have much experience with them just because I don't really like their slabs. They're extremely thick. They're not my type of slab, so I have only been grading with PSA and CGC. So what are the pros and cons of grading with PSA? So PSA is the industry leader in terms of grading cards or authenticating things. They're highly respected and highly valued through many high price items in the hobby. So for example, your base set Shadowless Charizard, they have been going for $200,000 because of the PSA slab. So that should tell you how much confidence does consumers have being backed by a PSA logo. So because they are such a leader in the marketplace, because they are the standard, their slabs will maintain its value. And not only that, even in the current marketplace, their slabs does fetch a premium compared to other competitors. Just because some of your people with money, they're willing to buy the PSA more, just because they're so well established and being constantly pushed by other major collectors in the industry. So what are the cons right now if you're submitting to PSA? Since the pandemic, PSA were shut down for a few months. Their office has been so backlogged with cards, not just trading cards. In fact, a majority of their backlog right now is being caused by sports cards, which has also seen a crazy increase in the marketplace over the last year or so, maybe even more. So right now, because of the backlog, if you're submitting a bulk order, you're looking at around 9 months minimum before you get your cards back. So what did they do, PSA? They increased prices on certain service levels, and they suspended certain service that has been causing the backlog. So for example, right now PSA has suspended their economy service level because it is the ones that is heavily impacted. And they've also increased the bulk pricing to $10 a card from, I believe, $8 a card. So 20% increase. That is quite substantial. But of course, they also help collectors by lowering the minimum cards being sent to bulk by reducing from 50 cards to 20 cards. So the pros and cons of CGCs. Actually, I want to do it this way. Pros and cons of CGCs. So subgrades. So CGC offers subgrades on their labels. Let's see if I can zoom into you. So as you can see, CGC offers subgrades where PSA does not. So for those of you who are really detail oriented, then you can have CGC put in the subgrades on your label, and you can tell how your cards were graded to get to this final big value. So again, they do go through your centering, your surface, your corners, and your edges. So you do have to pay extras for it, but for some it's worth it. So here's another thing. Look at these cases. So if you can see, the CGC slabs, they're crystal clear. They're like the card is being held on to by a piece of glass, whereas the PSA ones have the frosted edge on the frame of the slab. Personal preference, some love the crystal clear. I absolutely love it. I think it's beautiful. I could see the cards full 360 degrees without having any of the frosted areas. Does the frosted areas bother me? No, not at all. But in terms of preference, I definitely think this one does stand out a little bit more. Now, and let's talk about the label. The label has been very contentious. There has been a lot of discussions over it when CGC first announced that they're grading cards. A lot of people says, man, the label is huge. The blue doesn't look nice. It looks amateur. You know what? When CGC first announced that they're grading cards, I can tell you I was one of the first people that came on and said, I didn't like the blue label. I think it's huge. You know what? It's now 5 months. I have seen so many of these cards on social media, on Instagram, on YouTube, and now I have so many of these in my hands where I have just gotten used to them. And I think right now they look fine. Like, yeah, it might look a little bit empty on the bottom where they put the subgrades. If you don't order the subgrades, it might look a little empty, but overall I don't think it impacts the appearance that much. So what's next? So fast turnaround time. So right now CGC does have a fast turnaround time. You're looking around 30 days to get your cards back. Sorry about that. Just had some customers walked into the store. Anyways, so back to where we were. Fast turnaround times right now. So CGC right now, extremely fast turnaround time. They do say it's 30 working days on the website. On my latest submission, it's been faster than that. I think it's only about 20 some business days. So that's definitely very good. Right now, you're definitely getting great value in terms of the pricing right now. They do ask on bulk, starting as low as $8 USD per card. Here's a major thing, a big thing. They grade other languages, okay? PSA only grades Japanese and English, unless it's base set, okay? They do grade other base sets in other languages as well, but in terms of anything other than that, they don't do it, okay? Whereas CGC, they will grade other languages, so which is phenomenal because right now there are so many different languages. You have your German, your Thai, your Chinese. So those ones that have been neglected, I guess you could say, they will grade those as well. Actually, sorry, backtracking. I think PSA. I think, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe they do not grade anything outside of a base set for other languages. So, which is phenomenal because if you look at this lily right now, so this is one of the trophy lilies in Japanese, but on the Chinese ones, they have the same artwork, but this was available in one of their sets, AC2B. I don't know what set that is, but instead of me paying $1,000, $1,500 on eBay for a Japanese version, I only paid $120, $150 for the Chinese version for the same art. It's like, does it bother me if it's different characters just because it's not in Japanese and it's in Chinese? No, it doesn't. Okay, but now I have the option of sending this to CGC to get this, put it into a slab, and be nicely protected. Okay, so what are the cons of CGC? Okay, again, they're the new player. They've only been in the market for 5 months. Okay, so they're not as established in the marketplace. Okay, their graded cards, it's not going to receive as high of a value in terms of comparing to let's say slabs like CGC. So here I have two of the same cards. Okay, so I just did a quick look on eBay. So this is the stained glass Ultra Zapdos Articuno that you can get from the Hidden Fates Elite Trainer box. Okay, PSA 9, CGC 9. PSA 9 is fetching for $100 US. No, $120. $120 US right now for a PSA 9. CGC 9, right now there's only one, but it's going for $100. it could be or best offer. So you might not even get the full $100. You might end up with 80 to 90 if someone gives you an offer on it. So let's say someone buys it at your listing value, there's still a 20% difference in terms of the price that you will fetch. I know this is just one card, is not a great representation in terms of percentage wise of how much of a value you'll get just because it's a PSA versus a CGC. Okay, but just for this discussion's sake, on this one particular card, it's a $20 difference. Okay, so that's 20% right now. And also another cons, I would say, it's the label. Okay, it is very objective. It has definitely come down to personal preference. Okay, a lot of people have been saying the labels don't look good. I don't agree with it anymore. I definitely think it will grow on you over time, and I've shown this slabs to I've shown these slabs, okay, to a few other people who knows nothing about Pokemon. They don't know anything about grading, and their reaction is they prefer the label on this, just because they can clearly see the grade and there's more details on the label. So again, it's personal preference. It's definitely comes down to up to you. So in conclusion, I know I've been rambling on for quite some time now, so I hope this is not turning into a lecture video. But in conclusion, if you are grading a higher value card, so for example, like the Scream Mimikyu, I would definitely send it to PSA because they are so well established in the market, right? The label fetches a higher premium compared to CGC. Now, if you're flipping like a ultra modern card, then you might want to consider CGC just because of the faster turnaround time. If you're just looking for a quick flip, 30 working day turnaround, I don't think you can beat that right now with PSA with $8 a card. Okay. Other languages, you're gonna go with CGC because they grade them where PSA does not, at least to my understanding. Depending on your preference on labels, if you have a strong preference of this versus this, or you have a strong preference of this over this, then that will dictate which company you're going to send to. Also, the preference on the slab, the frosted slab versus the crystal clear slabs. What do you value your time value of money? Are you in a rush to get your cards back? If you're in a rush, CGC will give you the best time value of money. If you're not in a rush, maybe PSA would be the better route to go because they are well established and they hold their value in the marketplace. If you want subgrades, you have Beckett or you have CGC. Okay, PSA does not do subgrades, so that's also going to be something you need to factor in. Now, the dilemma really comes down to your big hitters of the ultra modern set. So, for example, in Darkness Ablaze, the Charizard VMAX. Okay. This is a CGC 9.5. If I send this into PSA, will I have a good chance of getting a PSA 10? Yes, there is that chance, but it could also go into PSA 9. It's not guaranteed. So that's something you need to decide. Do you want quick flip at 9.5, which is fetching at around $200 US right now? Or you can get a PSA 10 and get $400, probably fairly easily. $400 versus $200. That's a huge difference. So that is where you need to decide. Where is your time value of money? Do you want your cards back quick? Or are you okay with having PSA holding onto your cards for several months, but in turn, you may be able to sell your card for twice as much, or let's say 50% more. It may not be twice as much, 50% more. Okay, so that's where you need to decide in terms of CGC or PSA or BGS. I hope you find this video useful. If you do, please give me a thumbs up, hit the like button, and subscribe. Leave me a comment what you think of CGC. Okay, which one do you prefer? What do you think of the label? Please keep it friendly. We don't need to have a big war over which one's better. I'm just curious as to what's your preference, or will you be sending in some cards to CGC in the near future to get graded? Okay, if you found this useful, let me know. Okay, leave me a comment, and we'll see you in the next video.